What? Like, it was...
One would think they'd come like kind of right away, maybe even the next day.
And it was like her car keys to a Fiat.
Oh.
And then it was like all the house keys. And it looked like a set of business keys. And then basically all of your keys to your life.
Yeah, literally.
Hey guys, it's Jordan Jonas Sparks. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be talking a bit about anxiety and panic attacks, and I'm going to be going through a detailed account of what it feels like to have a panic attack for me while I am clear-headed and not having a panic attack. Hey, tiny baby. Oh, who's the cutest? Who's the very cutest? Who's the very cutest? Oh, you have a tiny belly. So basically, to premise this video, I am somebody that has dealt with panic attacks and anxiety for a very, very long time in my life. Sorry, I'm just closing the windows here. You're the very cutest. Oh, savage. She goes savage. So I had my first panic attack, I remember, at either 8 or 9 years old. And I won't go into specific details, but I remember what it felt like. I remember feeling doomed. I was like, is this what it feels like to be in really big trouble? Am I going to die? Like, I didn't know what was happening. Are you the very cutest? And since then, the frequency of my panic attacks have increased over the years, and it has kind of ebbed and flowed. There's been periods of my life when I didn't experience any panic attacks. There's periods of my life when I experienced them on the daily, like right now. And there are periods of my life when I experienced more anxiety, just general anxiety, than I did panic attacks. And I wanted to kind of like touch on what the difference is for me. Anxiety is something that I have dealt with a lot. Like, for example, whenever I'm filming, like right now, I'm experiencing anxiety. I feel anxious. I don't really feel completely grounded, and just like my breathing is not completely dropped. I don't feel completely comfortable, to say. And that's how I feel whenever the spotlight is on me, whenever somebody is asking me serious questions, whenever I'm speaking from my heart. Any of those things make me really anxious. My anxiety took turns more of like social phobia for most of my life. Like anytime that I would alienate or isolate myself, it was because my anxiety was telling me that people do not want to see me, people don't want to communicate with me, or just like anything that would get in my head that was like, okay, I'm just gonna spend my time by myself. And so that was more like social phobia. And then anytime I would go to like a party or to a new job or a job interview or to meet new people or see somebody that I haven't seen in a long time, I would experience like extreme anxiety and then a panic attack. So what I have realized is that basically when there are a lot of eyes on me constantly, I have a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress, and that's when I tend to have panic attacks. And when I am more socialized, like the more time that I spend with people, making authentic relationships and authentically communicating with people and spending times in like a group setting and stuff like that, that's when my anxiety starts to ease, the social phobia starts to go away, I feel more grounded and more like myself. But today's video, I wanted to focus on what it feels like to have a panic attack while I am having it. So at work recently, I work in customer service, and that is where I experience the most anxiety in my life. I try to find jobs where I don't have to work in customer service, and whether that's like doing anything behind the scenes, anything in an office, I just feel a lot more relaxed and I can focus more and do a much better job when I am not serving people at like a fast pace kind of thing. And just customer service in general, it gives me an insane amount of anxiety for many reasons that I could go into in a later video, but that's what has been causing me to have constant anxiety lately. And it's usually just while I'm at work, but sometimes it stresses me out so much that the anxiety lasts for like hours and hours later. But generally, when I start my shift and I come onto the floor, I will have a panic attack. The person that is talking to me about like what is going to be going on in my shift and transferring over the information, it's almost like a fog. Like I hear like maybe 10% of what they're saying because I'm so panicked by everybody that is waiting in line, looking at me, expecting me to serve them things, expecting something from me, being angry. I'm very empathetic, and I feel that energy, and sometimes I can't create like a shell around me to block myself out of other people's energy and expectations and just be in the moment. And so I always have a panic attack at the beginning of my shift. And I usually will have a panic attack when I have like a difficult regular customer come in that is like somebody that I've dealt with every single day for the last 6 months, somebody that is constantly difficult, somebody that I know that I'm going to have to deal with a confrontation again, that kind of thing, as opposed to just being an easy, stress-free customer. So those are the things that trigger me, but the biggest one that gives me a panic attack every single time is lately there's this person that I had a big crush on for several months, and I don't really even know this person, to be completely honest. But for some reason, whenever this person comes in, I'll just like be serving a customer. I might not even see them, but I'll just like feel their presence and I'm like, oh no. And then I look over and it'll be that person, and that's when I have an instant panic attack. And these are the worst panic attacks that I've had in my entire life. So yeah, it's giving me panic even just like feeling or thinking about the situation. But that's why I wanted to talk about this, because for some reason, this is giving me the worst panic attacks of my entire life, and they're instant. And so all of the tips that I've used to deal with my anxiety in the past, of like just trying to settle into myself, to breathe, to remember who I am, to remember that other people's expectations of me are not who I am, and those kinds of things, and just release and surrender to the universe and to the situation, and to not feel like I am endangered or anything like that. But when it comes to an instant panic attack, it's a little different than just experiencing general anxiety. So in these situations, I start to tremble. Like my hands will be shaking like this instantly, to the point that I'm like, I can't stop them. And the more that I try and like calm down my hands, the more that they'll just like shake rapidly. My breathing gets way up here in my chest. Like I feel like I can't breathe any lower than my sternum. And so then it's just like feels like all of my air is stuck here. I can't breathe into my diaphragm. I can't drop my breath. And so I start hyperventilating. And then my eyes will start to go really, really red, and they will start to burn. And my face will be really, really flushed, and it will feel like all the blood is rushing to my face. And like, it feels like, you know, when you get embarrassed for a quick second, it's like that times 100. So it's like you feel like you're extremely embarrassed, or like panic attacks are different for everybody. But for me, like my eyes will start to burn. It feels like I'm going to, like water's going to pour out of my eyes. Not really like I'm going to cry, but they're just gonna start pouring water. And yeah, I start hyperventilating. I can't drop my breath, and I start shaking, and I can't think. Like I'll go to speak and I'll just start stuttering and tripping over my words. So the most useful thing for me to deal with moving forward out of anxiety and healing and dealing with panic attacks is to address the triggers and why I feel those triggers, and really talking to other people, be like a counselor or your friends or your family, or even here on YouTube with my community. And those are the kinds of things that have helped me really release the pressure that I put on myself, and release these triggers, and help me clarify that they don't mean anything, they don't have power over me and stuff like that. But the biggest thing with my anxiety and my panic attacks is I always try to keep it to myself. I always try to contain my anxiety and contain my panic attack, and I don't want to spread any of that onto anybody else. And just in general, I feel like I don't want to burden anybody by having some kind of mental health crisis at work or as a friend or in any other situation. But like, I'm the first person that's like, let's go on an adventure to somewhere brand new, or like, let's travel, or let's move, or like any of these things I love to do, and I love to take big risks. And things that normally cause people anxiety is not, I guess, what causes me anxiety. But I do have panic attacks when people are watching me. So that's a big reason I stopped performing, because every time it was getting close to the night that I had to be on stage, as much as that was the only place that I wanted to be, I couldn't even breathe, I couldn't even function, I couldn't even think when it was coming time to like be in front of an audience. And that's why I couldn't do live streams on Instagram or live streams here on YouTube for the longest time, is because it gave me so much anxiety and so much panic, and I was just at one point like, whatever, I'm just gonna start doing it anyways. And so that panic started to go away as it registered in my body that like, this isn't dangerous, this isn't the end of the world, you can broadcast yourself online, nothing scary is gonna happen. But it's more so the fact of getting into this mindset that like whatever comes your way, you can deal with. And that is what has helped me with trying to heal and trying to cope with my panic and anxiety. And over the years, I would say my social anxiety is definitely going away. I'm finding exactly who I am as a person. But more so, I like to just look at my anxiety head on and be like, I don't care if I'm going to be anxious in this situation, I'm going anyway. And then it starts to dissipate. But like I said, when I try and control it, like when I'm at work and I don't want anybody to know that I'm feeling super anxious, I just try and put on a brave face and then it gets worse. Or like when I'm having a panic attack at work and I'm like, I don't want anybody to realize that I'm having a panic attack, so I'm like, don't shake. So I try to stop shaking and then it just gets 10 times worse. And I'm like, try to drop your breath. So I just start trying to breathe, and because I'm trying to achieve something, I experience more and more and more panic. My breath will get more and more shallow. It will just get worse. So I've learned that it's about trying to just relax, but letting go of the word trying, letting go of the word achieving. Like, you're not going to achieve or try to do anything with a panic attack to be successful. It's not going to work. The only thing that you can really do is to relax, surrender to the situation, tell yourself, like reaffirm with yourself that you are okay, that you are fine, that there's nothing dangerous going on. But for me, it's all about dealing with the situation head on. So if somebody's giving you extreme anxiety, or for me, if they're giving me extreme anxiety, I don't care if I'm going to look like a mess. I don't care if I'm going to be stuttering and tripping over my own words at this point in my life. I need to just deal with the situation head on, confront the person, talk to the person. And then afterwards, I'm like, okay, that wasn't so scary. I didn't die. I survived. And so that is how I deal with my anxiety and my panic attacks at this point. I wish they would just go away, but I'm learning to deal with the triggers. The only thing that I feel is when it gets to the point, like with my job, where I'm having, say, 5 or 6 panic attacks in a day, and they're just like back to back to back, and it just like hits me like a bullet, or like being punched in the stomach, and you're like, that's not healthy. That's not healthy for your adrenal system. That's not healthy for you as a person. It's really not healthy for your heart to go through that much panic in a day, because really it's like a huge wave of adrenaline is now coursing through your system, and that's just not healthy for your body. And so it's almost like being in like a vicious drug addiction cycle where you take a hit of this drug and it gives you this giant high and then you crash. That's kind of the same effects that you have when your body is constantly putting you into a panic attack, and then you crash from all of this like adrenaline rush that caused you this insane panic. And so it's kind of the same thing, and it's just not healthy for your body. So at this point in my life, I'm kind of trying to segue into finding new work, and that's why I've been doing a lot of hairdressing lately, and I'm going to be getting into more photography and just trying to do other things that aren't customer service or dealing with like 20 customers at once. When it's one-on-one, that's a lot more comfortable for me, or like a small group setting. But when I have to serve like 1,500 people in a day, it's just far too much for me. So I'm trying to segue out of that, because I just don't want to be having multiple panic attacks in a day. And yeah, so I hope that this was a useful account for you, or that any of these tips and tricks helped you in some way, shape, or form. And as always, I just wanted to remind you guys to be weird, be wild, and stay sparkly, and go get yourself a little flamingo cup if it makes you feel any better. Because how cute is this? Okay, bye guys, I love you.